Episode 1 of the San Antonio Women Podcast, Women in Law Series. My name is Jenny Marshall, a partner at Preferred Counsel Legal Placement, and your guest host. Today's guest is Beth Janicek, founder and lead attorney of Janicek Law. She's board certified in personal injury law with 25 years of experience and a sports enthusiast. Welcome to the table.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's so great to see you. So Beth, you have a ton of great experience in personal injury law. What led you to personal injury law?
During law school, I started clerking for Mary Nell Maloney, and Mike Maloney. It was that Maloney and Maloney at the time, and watching them work, and their enthusiasm and hard work that they put into their cases really inspired me. And I decided at that time that, if they would let me stay on, I would stay there because I loved what I was doing. Still do.
That's amazing. Personal injury law is so important. Why do you think it's important to choose a female lawyer with your med-mal case or your personal injury case?
I think that women are more empathetic. And I think in someone who's been injured, I think that's why females are good to represent injured people, is because they have a good understanding of what someone's been through. If you break it down further and you talk about birth injury cases, certainly that's something that I've had experience in, and can empathize with someone who's so enthusiastic about having a child, and then things go wrong. So
That's really important. What questions are really important to ask when you're choosing an attorney to represent you?
my biggest advice is go with a board certified attorney. I think asking them what type of trial experience they have had. Being board certified means you had to go through, not only take a test, but you also had to go through a certain number of trials, and they look over them and see that you've had enough experience to even sit for the test. And most people don't want to go to trial. So when I say you want to ask them how often they've been to trial or if they've been board certified, I think that's important because the other side is evaluating the experience of your attorney. And they're going to know if you've hired an attorney that doesn't ever go to trial, who has no trial experience, you're not going to garner the best settlement, which is really what most people's goal are. Because the fact of the matter is, trial may be fun for me, but it's not fun for a client. It's a really, really difficult experience. So my goal is to try and get the best settlement for the client. And I think my experience in being board certified and having tried cases, and the defense counsel being aware that if you don't offer what's fair to my client, then I will go to trial. And those who don't go to trial, the defense attorneys know it.
That's some great advice. What do you think is your most memorable trial to date?
Oh, wow. Actually, it is one I lost.
Wow.
And I know most people talk about the big trial they won and the great verdict they got, but it was a young child at 2 who had passed away, and we were unsuccessful. We had settled with one of the parties, but the party that we went to trial with, it taught me so much and was so humbling, and really was frankly depressing for me. But I think it in the end has given me the drive to be a better lawyer, and also explain to people that juries are unpredictable. So
Wow. Well, it's so nice for you to be here today. I hear you're a sports enthusiast. So what does that quite mean?
I love sports. I love playing them, and I love watching them. I myself love tennis, and now pickleball. I am a huge Texas A&M fan, and of course, I'm a huge Spurs fan. So,
Oh,
I love sports. I spend all my free time either playing or watching sports.
oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we've got some great local teams here.
Yes.
I saw that you sometimes do some very fun adventures like snowmobiling on a glacier.
Yes.
Do you have any upcoming trips that you are going on?
I do actually. I leave next week to Africa. So I'm going, which has been a bucket list for a while. So I'm going and doing um, South Africa first. Going to get to do whale watching and penguins and
Oh my
doing that
goodness.
part of Africa. Then I go up for the safari and the hopes. And again, I'm not hunting. I'm only taking pictures.
Wonderful. That sounds like a lot of fun. If you could give any advice to our female attorneys about pursuing their next step in a career, what advice would that be?
Wow, it's just such a great career. That's the first thing I would say is pursue it and enjoy it. I was in a mediation this morning, and there was a law clerk that was attending the mediation with me, and the mediator mentioned like, "Hey, this is a great experience for you. You know, you're very fortunate that you're getting to watch this." Um, and then she went on to what a great, profession it is, and it's unfortunate that there are people who aren't happy in it, and, I invite them that they should go pursue something else that they can be happy in, because, uh, I wake up every day, excited about what's gonna go on at work today.
That's
So
amazing. Well, we are so happy that you came today and we appreciate you as being part of the podcast. Um, we love our listeners, and if there is anything else you'd like to say, let's keep going. Yeah?
well,
Did you?
yeah, I would like to add just the whole idea on women.
Yeah.
I think it is so important that we pull together as women. That's why I love this group that focuses on women. We really need to work together to pull together and help one another out. I would be available for any woman entering the career to call and go to lunch and discuss what the career is like or what it will entail because I think it's really important for us to all bond together because it is we do have different obstacles in our way, and I think we can help one another overcome those obstacles.
That's an invaluable offer. I think that any woman would be lucky to spend more than 5 minutes with you, and lunch would be amazing. There's so many great things that you've done over your 25 plus year career. You have your own firm, you employ over 10 people, you are a pioneer for San Antonio and for San Antonio women, especially in the legal field. And we are so lucky to get to be a part of that. And so,
I think that goes back to Marinelle Maloney. You know, if you touch on me being a pioneer, she was clearly a pioneer.
yes.
In her time. You know, I, I can remember when I first was licensed and I would go to hearings with Mary Nell. Uh, we would be the only two women in the courtroom because although there were female attorneys, not many of them were trial lawyers. And I can remember one time of us going down in Alice, Texas, into the courtroom, and it was absolutely packed, and there was not another woman in the courtroom other than the two of us. And we saw that when I first started practicing regularly, where I walked into the courtroom and I was the only woman there. I remember one time going to a courtroom and I was walking in and the guard stopped me and said, if you're the court reporter, you need to go over here. And because it was just so foreign to see a trial lawyer that was actually a woman. So I think Mary Nell really was a great mentor that gave me the and showed me what it took as a woman to be a trial lawyer. Because at that time it was very unique. There were not many trial lawyers that were women.
Wow. I know Mary Nell, she was also a personal injury attorney, and she worked with her family. Is that correct?
Right. Well, of course, there are lots of Maloney's here in San Antonio who have been great lawyers, but the firm I worked at was Marinell Maloney and Mike Maloney's firm, which was Maloney and Maloney at the time.
Oh, wow. Well, we are lucky enough to graduating more female lawyers in the last 10 to 20 years than we have ever graduated. And so female lawyers are definitely the new horizon of litigation and personal injury and any type of law. We're so lucky that that's something that, women are doing and are passionate about. And, they can look up to you and they can look up to many of the other female lawyers we have here in San Antonio. I know that I come across a lot of female lawyers with the Bexar County Women's Bar.
Right.
And a lot of my searches are the people that fill those searches are female lawyers. And so we're very lucky to be blessed with lots of lawyers here in San Antonio. Did you graduate from, where did you graduate?
St. Mary's.
St. Mary's. Okay. So we have a St. Mary's graduate. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it is. And you're right. I mean, now I go into the courtroom and we're even.
Ah.
There's as many women as men there. And so that's great to see. And I really am happy. And so many entering the personal injury field is great too, because I think there used to be a void that's now being filled.
So I'm a mother of three, and I was fortunate to have some very normal births. But I know that the complexity of med mal cases with births is something that you really touch on in your practice. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Certainly. I think it is important to understand how complex medical malpractice cases are to begin with, and then birth injury even moves to a more difficult realm. But the whole body of law for medical malpractice makes it more difficult, more obstacles in the way to bring a lawsuit against a healthcare provider than any other profession that exists. Those obstacles also make it more expensive, which means from our standpoint, we have to be exceedingly selective in the cases we choose. And a lot of people who call us don't understand. And when we say it's got to be a catastrophic injury, it's not. It has to be a catastrophic injury because it's not worth it for them. Because if you are paying us and paying the expenses to overcome all the obstacles to bring a medical malpractice case, it's got to be a substantial recovery for them. And so the body of law that governs medical malpractice cases has so many ins and outs. I think that kind of also goes back to your question, like, what do you need to ask the attorney is if you have a medical malpractice case, be sure to ask them how many medical malpractice cases you have. I think that lots of times you'll find people that they may sign a medical malpractice case that sounds good, and typically that's going to be referred, which is fine because we do a lot of referrals because fortunately most attorneys realize that they don't have the capabilities or the knowledge of medical malpractice to handle those cases. And so that's why we do so many referrals, is because people can't handle them on their own.
Referrals are so important to the business practice. Do you also refer cases out?
Um, I would if I don't generally get calls. I don't handle family law, so
Oh,
that comes up where, family law, people I know need a family law lawyer, and I refer those out. And same with business. I don't do business law, and I refer those out as well. I stick only to personal injury. I don't get a whole lot of other inquiries other than what I do.
Oh, wonderful. What would you say is the most interesting part of your day?
The most interesting part of my day, it's hard to break it down because what I love about my job is every day is different. So, what is the most interesting part of my business is I love depositions. I find that the questions and answers and preparing for a deposition, it's almost like a high that it gives you to get prepared to get into that deposition. And I'm deposing people who are very sophisticated, and so it is intellectually stimulating as well to be asking those questions and trying to be knowledgeable on a subject that I don't do every day, but the person I'm deposing does do every day. So it's really, really fun for me.
If you weren't a lawyer, what kind of job do you think you would have?
Oh, tennis coach.
Tennis coach. Wow, that's exciting.
I would love to have coached children in tennis, and still would. Maybe I'll do that in my retirement days.
That sounds super fun. Do you go to Wimbledon? Are you?
I wish I went to Wimbledon. I can't. I was talking to a friend as we were watching Wimbledon, and we decided we got to go next year. It's on my bucket list, but I have not been. I've been to the U.S. Open, and I love that, but I have not been to Wimbledon.
Oh, put it on your list.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Well,
my father was in the newspaper business with Hort Hanks Communications, so we traveled around a lot. And then Hort Hanks is headquartered here, and so I moved here in the middle of high school. So that was many years ago. So I consider myself a San Antonio native.
So San Antonio is so very diverse in culture and events. Do you have a favorite event that you like to attend?
Well, if we're excluding Spurs games,
Okay.
that would be my first choice, would be going to Spurs games. I've been a season ticket holder for a while, and so was there in the first title in 1999 when we won that game. So big Spurs fan. After that, I do love Fiesta. There's still Fiesta events that I can remember going to back in high school and still attend those, from the River Parade to all the various events that I enjoy.
That sounds great. Do you have any favorite foods?
I love Mexican food, and so big fan of Paloma Blanca and Saluna. Both of them, I'm usually splitting my time between the two of them.
Oh, so are you in Alamo Heights? Do you live in Alamo Heights?
I do. I graduated from Alamo Heights High School. That's where my office is now. So still running around that area.
Okay, so an 09er by heart.
Yes.
And your favorite restaurant is Paloma Blanca. What do you get when you go?
Sometimes, well, I vary. That's what I like about it, is it's not like I get the same meal. That's always my judgment on what's my favorite restaurant, because if I don't really like the restaurant, I eat the same thing that I know is safe. Whereas Paloma, there's so many things I like there. I switch it up all the time.
Awesome. My favorite would have to be definitely a margarita.
Yes.
I think that would be my number one choice, would be the margarita.
Yes. And the chispa at Saluna?
The chispa at Saluna. After my own heart. Only one. That's all it's delicious.
It is
Maybe
good.
some chips and salsa. Whew. Well, it was so nice to talk to you today. I really appreciate your time. We are so honored to be our first guest of the San Antonio Women podcast. And I know there are great things in store for your firm. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Well, I hope to see you soon, and I really appreciate y'all having me here. Again, I think it's a great organization, and you guys are doing great things. So,
thanks so much, Beth.
Thanks.